So this is the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo editions, being broadcast on the internet, not on satellite, not on terrestrial, not on cable, only on the internet. And this is the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo editions. Baby Angel Geronimo is the baby angel born in New Zealand, lovingly raised by Leonie Walker. Baby Angel Geronimo was invited to come and join Helen MacDonald in 2017 in Helen MacDonald's home in South Gloucestershire. Baby Angel Geronimo Baby Angel Geronimo by the various decision makers within the tributaries and associations and organizations and platforms. There is no rule of law, objectively neutrally defined. There is no due process. Objectively, Geronimo, in that the baby angel Geronimo is the only witness, comprehensive witness, empirical witness to all the bad things that are being done by the incumbents in the various posts and positions in the name of the people of the United Kingdom, in the name of the demography in the United Kingdom, in the name of this so-called democracy in the United Kingdom. Baby Angel Geronimo is vindicated every day. For example, Baby Angel Geronimo is vindicated today, Saturday, the 4th of November 2023, in the collection of lies, deceptions and frauds and pretensions and falsehoods, also known as the Daily Mail. And the Daily Mail today is going over the top as usual in peddling the liar, Boris Johnson, by the stooge and co-liar, the criminal, Nadine Nasty Dorries. It says the exclusive starts today. Sex parties and the ruthless Tory clique who secretly make and then break prime ministers. Now, the baby angel Geronimo is the only one who has known that they are liars and they have been doing these secret, corrupt acts all the time. But the Daily Mail has been in denial until now. So is the Daily Murdoch scum and the Murdoch outlets, the Times and the Sunday Times. Baby Angel Geronimo also knows that the pretension, the fake inquiry called British judiciary is absolutely corrupt to the core. So much so, let's check the corruption, the extent of the corruption of the British judiciary. So, in the latest edition of the fortnightly Private Eye, there is a piece about meeting. It's called Spy Cops Inquiry. Meeting Needle. Bad news for my learned friends. In the advertised section called In the Back, meeting Spy Cops Inquiry, issue 1610. There is a picture of Needle meeting the retired judge, but let's read the first paragraph. Bad news for my learned friends. As the Home Office has finally insisted that the inquiry into the spy cop scandal must end by 2026, a mere 11 years after he started examining how a Metropolitan Police, that is London Metropolitan Police undercover unit, tricked women into sexual relationships to infiltrate left wing groups and justice campaigns. Retired Judge Sir John Mitting only managed to produce his first interim report this summer, 8 years after the undercover policing inquiry was set up in 2015, with an expectation of a final report 3 years later. The inquiry has so far spent £70 million, £70 million, which means Meeting's 110-page interim report cost the taxpayer £636,000 per page and only covers the first spying period, that is from 1968 to 1982. There are 5 more stages for Meeting and a 90-strong team of lawyers and support staff to examine. The next two spying periods, 1982 to 92 and 1992 to 2007, are crucial as many of the cops, politicians, and captains of industry who use the intelligence to undermine civil claims for police brutality and to blacklist trades unionists are still alive. Yet, under current timetable, the first of the remaining hearings won't start before July 2024. The first set of hearings managed to sit for just 64 days in 8 years, of which only 29 days involved cops, spooks, and victims actually giving evidence. The other 35 days were lawyers making opening and closing statements, 17 days, or my learned friends for the Metropolitan Police, MI5, and the Home Office asking Meeting to preserve the anonymity of undercover officers or withhold and redact documents, 18 days. One exasperated lawyer told the Private Eye, everything is a fight. For 2020. This has got to end by November 2026. That is the Interior Department in the UK central government is in a peculiar position, as it, the Home Office, sponsored the inquiry but also funded the undercover unit, which started life as the Special Demonstration Squad. And reports lengthy and costly inquiry into the Metropolitan Undercover Corps. There is no mention in this. There is absolutely So this one has got 363 pages. And it's called Baroness Casey Review, Final Report. And it says an independent review into the standards of behavior and internal culture of the Metropolitan Police Service. Baroness Casey of Blackstock, DBE, CB, March 2023. So it's 363 pages. What it says. Summary and conclusions. Fixing the Metropolitan Police, recommendations. Cleaning up the Metropolitan Police, a new offer to women and children, building trust with London's communities to restore consent, a new police deal for Londoners, new leadership and new management, new oversight and accountability, showing London that reform is working, introduction and context, the Metropolitan Police and Londoners, London's dynamic population, changing service demands and performance, public confidence and trust in the Metropolitan Police, why public concern matters, the Peelian principles, conclusions. Peel is the Robert Peel. Robert, in colloquial usage, is called Bob. So the name used for the police still is called Bob, the Bobby. Bobby on the beat is after the Robert Peel. So if you look at the corruption in that report, in that compilation, let's say, by Louise Casey, there are various sentences dealing with corruption on 8 different pages. Racism, 34 pages. So there have been numerous high profile instances of racism, misogyny, and other forms of discrimination that have been uncovered in the Metropolitan Police, often with other this the description. The reviewer stood on the shoulders of others, allowing us to while asking itself their failure to recruit and retain black officers and staff. Level level discouraged. Officers referred to being weighed down by it and said it is an albatross around our neck. Few authors, that led by Louise Casey, have also seen institutional misogyny, sexism, and homophobia in the organization of the London Metropolitan Police and are concerned about those with other protected characteristics, in particular those with disabilities. So the dysfunction, complete dysfunction found in the compilation published in the name of Louise Casey, it's published by the London Metropolitan Police as part of the arrangement, confirms confirms decades of experience of people in London of all backgrounds. The police not only do not do the job that they're supposed to be doing, but the policing has been abolished by the police. Crime has been abolished by the police. Now we go back to John Mitting's inquiry into the undercover policing. And that shows that the police have been spying on people, interfering with ordinary people from the 1960s onwards, according to that particular description. And that it has cost 70 million pounds. Most of that money has gone to the pockets of lawyers or licensed law traders. And there is no sign whatsoever that anything really would be found or admitted by the meeting inquiry. Meeting will be another rubber stamp. So we go back to the baby angel Geronimo essay, which is based on the evidence of the behavior of the criminals sitting as judges in the High Court. Two judges in particular, Griffiths and Murray. Those two liars have been able to lie without any fear that they would be held to account, that the lying would be exposed as a crime that warranted prosecution in itself. So they lied to give the appearance of legitimacy to the lies by the DEFRA. The DEFRA criminals, fronted by the criminal Christian evilness, middle miss, the so-called chief veterinary officer at the UK Central Government Department DEFRA. These criminals concocted a series of lies and excuses to justify their program of harassment and demonization of the perfectly innocent and most healthy baby angel Geronimo, whom they wanted to label as being infected with bovine tuberculosis, which baby angel Geronimo never was infected with, never could be infected with, never is infected with any of these infections that they wanted to put on him. So when the English human mom, Helen MacDonald, demanded that the lies be withdrawn and the truth be told, and that the truth be told by the DEFRA criminals, agreeing to an independent, scientific, objective, truthful test on baby angel Geronimo, and the DEFRA criminals lied and refused and denied her request repeatedly. And Griffiths and Murray said that facts and evidence didn't matter. Facts and evidence didn't matter, and that they could be ignored. So, whatever meeting is doing is not new. This is corruption going on for years. The judiciary doesn't exist as an independent, objective platform for holding executive to account. And Parliament is as servile today as it has been for decades. And the opposition is non existent, especially as the British parliamentary opposition is fronted by the political murderer of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer. There is no chance whatsoever that he would hold the criminals, executives, to account. So we have in the Daily Mail today other items like the propaganda by Andrew Neil. Now, Andrew Neil is a career criminal who has been bribed and who has received the bribery by Marty Digger, Rupert Murdoch for decades. And Boris Johnson in the Daily Mail, Boris Johnson is saying beyond beyond any intellectual, conceivable intellectual basis that Sadiq Khan has failed to deal with the crimes in London. Sadiq Khan being the incumbent in the post of elected mayor in London. And the Daily Mail opposed to the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza. And one of the one of the most notorious kind of, how can I describe this, Howard Jacobson, one of the most notorious criminals posing as non-serious, non-practicing Jew, Howard Jacobson, is propelled into propaganda platform whenever it is necessary to demonize the people of Palestine, demonize the people of Gaza, demonize the people protesting against the Zionist state of Israel, massacring, genociding the people of Palestine and of Gaza. And the headline in the Daily Mail says, "We ask ourselves how ordinary Germans could stand idly by in the 1940s. Today, we must ask, how can so many stand idly by and applaud?" And what Howard Jacobson's question, obviously written with the help of the Daily Mail's editorial team, is put next to the flag of the Zionist state of Israel being trodden on by anonymous anti Israeli protester. That's what the applause refers to. The point is that Suela, Ibila, Cruella, Fernandez, the Goa origin interior minister, Goa is of India, in a small island of India. Interior minister, that is the Home Secretary in the Rishi Sunak fronted cabinet in the Suela Ibila Cruella has so far not been accused by anyone else of being a criminal against humanity. But our campaign has got enough evidence to sustainably say that Suela Ibila Cruella Fernandez is a criminal against humanity and she warrants being prosecuted and tried under the human rights laws because she is choosing repeatedly, time and time again, any vulnerable person, any person who is desperate and seeking shelter and refuge in the United Kingdom or in the West from persecution back in their countries of origin. Suela Ibila Cruella is looking for any pretext, any excuse to find any vulnerable person seeking refuge in the United Kingdom, let's say, and to find a link between their being vulnerable, desperately in need of help and protection, and a crime. The crime is not a crime that has existed in the United Kingdom, but the crime has existed in the realm of fascism, of Nazi Germany. So she is demonizing all the victims of oppression, all the victims of harassment, all the victims of displacement from their own homes. She is treating the victims as worse than the perpetrators. And there is no sign whatsoever that Keir Starmer, the criminal who is the murderer of the political murderer of the Labour Party, gives a damn about that. And it's not a surprise because Starmer has been for the last 3 weeks engaged in a battle on behalf of the Zionist state of Israel and on behalf of the Zionist narrative against those members of the Labour Party, who have become Labour members of councils, various councils, and even members of the shadow cabinet fronted by Keir Starmer, demanding that Starmer should declare support for the urgent call that has been passed by the United Nations General Assembly, calling on the State of Israel to stop the attacks and agree to a ceasefire. In the Times today, Murdoch owned Times newspaper, the Rhodesian, born and brought up racist anti Muslim, Matthew Paris, has singled out Muslim councillors that have been demanding that Keir Starmer support the call for ceasefire in Palestine. And Matthew Paris refers to those dismissively. The Muslims he refers to with wanton dismissiveness, just as Suella Ibila Cruella has repeatedly looked for any connection between Muslims and any objection that they raise against any oppression, any violation of human rights, etc. Let's check this actual quotation by Matthew Paris. So, in today's item that was published actually at 20 hours GMT on Friday, the 3rd of November 2023, this Muslim hating liar Matthew Paris in the Times says, he says that the dissent, that is, dissent from Starmer's refusal to support the call for ceasefire, the dissent is substantial through varying forms of words and a few obscure resignations. Dissatisfaction with Starmer's anti ceasefire stance has been chalked up by more than 200, and he puts within brackets, that is the dismissiveness, mostly Muslim Labour councillors, and about a third of the parliamentary party, including more than a dozen frontbenchers. Now, it is the same Matthew Paris who in July 2005, 2 months after the 2005 general election, in which the Bethnal Green and Bow, the Zionist MP, Una King, a supporter of the State of Israel and a supporter of the Zionist agenda of genocide against the Palestinians, Una King, was ousted by the constituents of Bethnal Green and Bow. So outraged was Matthew Paris by Una King's ouster that he went ahead and published a comment condemning the people of Bethnal Green and Bow. In particular, he focused on the Brick Lane area, which is where the Khoodeelaar campaign was actively defending the area against the Crossrail Hole plot. And as he knew from the campaign, the strength of the campaign, Matthew Paris recognized that the way to hurt the people of Bethnal Green and Bow, the best way, according to him, to attack the people of Bethnal Green and Bow, to punish the voters for daring to vote Una King out of the constituency, would be to support an attack that was already underway against the Brick Lane area, which is part of the Bethnal Green and Bow constituency. And that was to support the Crossrails plot to dig a big hole in the Brick Lane area. And in the period from 2005 up to now, 2005, 2015, 2023 now, we have condemning Matthew Paris for that particular intervention. So outraged he has been against the people of Bethnal Green and Bow that despite the fact that he loathes Ken lying still Livingstone politically, he supported Ken lying still Livingstone when it came to Crossrail. And he openly urged Ken Livingstone to disregard all opposition to the Crossrail plot and go ahead with the plotted hole in the middle of Brick Lane as a punishment. And then he went on and repeated the same claim when Livingstone lost to Boris Johnson in 2008 and Crossrail whole plot was still actively under consideration. So Matthew Paris continued to repeat the same line and urged Boris Johnson to go ahead and support Crossrail. That meant that supporting Crossrail meant that the plot to dig a hole in Brick Lane was part of the Crossrail plan, the Crossrail bill. So it is this same Matthew Paris who is dismissively referring to the 200 mostly Muslim Labour councillors, whom he is saying Keir Starmer should ignore because they're Muslims. Here, Keir, on Gaza, you have the right idea. Now, Matthew Paris is a creep because Bengali youth. What on earth is Matthew Paris doing? Even being aware of the existence of Bengali boys in Limehouse area. So these creeps, corrupt individuals, what we shall be doing just before finishing this one, this particular edition, I'll be talking about Andrew Neil. Now, Andrew Neil, I mean, these are creeps after creeps after creeps. These creepy people. Now, Andrew Neil is preceded on the Daily Mail by Boris Johnson, whose piece today, Saturday, 4th of November 2023, is headed Sadiq Khan's abject failure on crime is tarnishing the UK's reputation globally. How the fuck? This is the most criminal, career opportunist liar decrying Sadiq Khan's alleged abject failure on crime. But the first thing that should be pointed out to this liar is that if there is any failure by Sadiq Khan on crime, it is the failure to use the resources available to the London Assembly to investigate the serial criminality and abuse of office that Boris Johnson perpetrated while he was in post. As the incumbent, as mayor in the name of London from 2008 to 2016, when Sadiq Khan actually won the election because the Conservatives had put up Jemima's brother, Zach Goldsmith. And Zach Goldsmith had carried out a most anti Muslim, hateful, corrupt, and untruthful campaign of vilification against Sadiq Khan. This significantly contributed to the defeat of Zach Goldsmith because Sadiq Khan, contrary to the image that Zach Goldsmith and Boris Johnson and others tried to paint to the voters of Sadiq Khan as being an extremist Muslim, Sadiq Khan is actually a very opportunist, selfish, mental slave who doesn't care whether he attacks Muslims himself. And the people that actually put him up as the Labour Party's official candidate for election, as and since then, the attempt by the Conservatives to find a viable candidate as the elected mayor, the attempts have spectacularly failed, especially, let's check, especially the intervention made by Daisy Goodwin. Daisy Goodwin exposed Daniel Korski. Now, Daniel Korski was supposedly the front runner as the potential Conservative candidate at the next London mayoral election. But then came Daisy Goodwin. Daisy Goodwin has complained formally to the Cabinet Office about Tory London mayoral hopeful Daniel Korski. On Monday, novelist and television producer Miss Goodwin said he had groped her during a meeting at 10 Downing Street in 2013. Speaking to the BBC Radio 4's Today program, Daisy Goodwin said she had not reported the matter at the time because of the attitudes of the day. Mr. Korski categorically denies her allegations and says he is still in the race to become a mayoral candidate. Miss Goodwin, 61, told today's Martha Kearney, I didn't think to report it then because I felt, well, this is part of the rough and tumble of daily life. And I feel now when I speak out, most people believe me. Daisy Goodwin said she believed attitudes had completely changed in the decades since her encounter with Mr. Korski. The writer and television producer, that is Daisy Goodwin, who was behind the successful ITV drama Victoria, explained she had faced she said she had not complained to the Conservative Party. You know it's happened to you because you were there. You felt it. You felt amazed, shocked, rather humiliated. In her article in the Times, Miss Goodwin said that Mr. Korski, then a special advisor at number 10 Downing Street, had put his hand on her breast. Miss Goodwin said that since that article's publication, other women had contacted her with interesting stories, but added she could not provide details for legal reasons. In an interview with Talk TV on Tuesday, Mr. Korsky asked about the possibility of further discussion, accusations, replying, to the best of my knowledge, absolutely, I don't expect anybody to come out and say anything. Downing Street described the claims against Mr. Korsky as very serious, asked if the Prime Minister would encourage anyone with complaints against former staff members to come forward. A spokeswoman said yes, of course. She added the two parties are telling different stories. The proper processes should be followed, and conclusions shouldn't be drawn until the processes are followed through. Now, who is Daniel Korsky? Born in Denmark, he is the son of Polish immigrants. He was deputy head of the number 10 Down Police Unit between 2013 and 2016. A campaigner to stay in the EU, he left number 10 when David Cameron did after the Brexit referendum. He has previously worked for a think tank and as a journalist. He is a technology entrepreneur, having set up his own business providing support for companies seeking contacts in the public sector. The central message of his campaign to be the Conservatives' mayoral candidate is enabling people to achieve the London dream. His key offer is the pledge to provide new solutions to old problems, such as pay per mile road pricing to tackle congestion and air pollution in the capital. Mr. Korsky's campaign team said he welcomed any investigation and would cooperate fully. During his Talk TV interview, Mr. Korsky said, all I can say is that she is wrong. He agreed that a meeting had taken place but dismissed the groping allegation as categorically untrue. Mr. Korsky said, all I can say is that I have always tried to comport myself with the utmost respect when I've been positions of leadership. Well, there is a word missing there. I've been in. That in is missing. I have sought to create the kind of empowering, diverse environment where everyone can feel safe and can grow in their jobs. Some Tory MPs back Some Tory MP backers of Mr. Korsky have paused their support for his campaign. One of them, Children and Families Minister Claire Coutinho, said any complaint should be investigated swiftly. At the same time, this is an allegation. He is roundly denied it, she told Sky News. Now, what Daisy Goodwin also said was that he sat in front of in number 10 Downing Street, on the with users, but it was pointing at her. That's what she has said. So we'll go back to the Daily Mail, and there is no mention of Daniel Korski in Boris Johnson's attack on Sadiq Khan. So this piece by Gordon Brown, sorry, Andrew Neil is the one that I'm looking for. Andrew Neil is a creep of the worst kind, a career creep all his life. Now, Andrew Neil is from Scotland, and he is one of the most shameless, disgraceful Scottish descended careerist, being paid huge sums of money and being given positions after positions in huge platforms in the English part of the United Kingdom. Now, here is the criminal attacking the people of Palestine, and he's attacking not the people of Palestine, but the United Nations itself. Now, the United Nations has been strangled since its foundation. The United Nations has been strangled since its foundation, especially since the first Secretary General, Dag Hammarskjöld, was murdered during a trip in Africa. There has been no United Nations Secretary General after Dag Hammarskjöld was assassinated who has had the slightest idea about the founding aims and purposes of the United Nations. Every single one that has been in that post, Secretary General of the United Nations, has been a tokenistic Secretary General. I mean, bizarrely, there was a man from Burma, which has been a fascist, military controlled regime for the last 50 years or so, even longer, had U Thant as the Secretary General of the United Nations. How odd. Then there was this complete creep from Egypt, Boutros Ghali. And there was, of course, Kofi Annan, the overhyped Ghanaian moron who colluded and capitulated to George W. Bush and Tony Blair in their attacks on the people of Afghanistan and the people of Iraq. So these attacks on the people of Afghanistan and Iraq have not been condemned by Andrew Neil. In fact, they have colluded, and the propaganda service that Andrew Neil and others performed in support of George W. Bush's attacks on the people of Afghanistan and Iraq are extraordinarily consistent. Andrew Neil did that, Michael Gove did that, as did Polly Toynbee, as did the BBC and the Sky News, everyone. So the thing is, this is an exception. Andrew Neil is attacking the United Nations while the United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution with a large majority of people voting for the call to have a ceasefire in Palestine. That has been a crime. The United Nations was founded for peace. The United Nations was inspired by the experience of the Nazi German adventure on Europe. So Andrew Neil is attacking the United Nations on every positive that it reluctantly has made about climate change and about reducing poverty, about helping the migrants, and so on. So, this is the platform of the devil, the Daily Mail, the platform of Satan, and all these criminals who are attacking the people of Palestine, and Andrew Neil attacking even the United Nations for daring to allow the resolution to be passed at the General Assembly calling for ceasefire. They're doing that coming from central, if you like, script writing center, wherever that is based on. All the media are attacking the people of Palestine, all the British media, including The Guardian, which pretends to be neutral, but it is not. So, going back to the essay that we call the Baby Angel Geronimo essay, the Baby Angel Geronimo editions, the evidence shows that there is no justice in the judiciary in the United Kingdom, which is why the High Court judge sitting as a stooge, as a tool for DEFRA, said that the Secretary of State and DEFRA could ignore evidence. So they could do anything. And they wanted to demonize Baby Angel Geronimo. They wanted to lie about Baby Angel Geronimo. No media has, no publication, including The Guardian, has pointed that out at all. Absolutely not. So we shall be continuing on all these topics in due course. This is being ended at 1 hour 5 minutes at 20 hours 26 20 hours GMT on Saturday, November 2023.